Let's get right into it. Yes, Witchbrook was confirmed by the developer Chucklefish. The game is delayed until 2026. And you're gonna love this. And by love, I mean hate. Whereas we had a holiday winter 2025 release schedule, it is now left vaguely as 2026. However, there were some silver linings, and if you bear with me, I will get to them, but I do want to touch on just a few more things here. So first things first, if my video was the first time you even heard about this, you're probably wondering what the actual context of this is. So here is what happened. The morning of October 15th, it was announced by a Chucklefish community manager on Discord. Hey everyone, Witchbrook needs a little more time in the cauldron, so we're shifting the release to 2026. It's a big project, and we want to make your time in Mossport as rich and immersive as possible. Find out more in our dev blog. They do say in the dev blog that this is a very big project. It's taking shape as they hoped. It's got the depth. It's got all the details that they're hoping for. Having said that, some of these details need a little bit longer to flush out. So, cue disappointment spiral. And that's the second thing I wanted to touch on is obviously that disappointment is real. I think everybody excited for the game is feeling it. I know I'm feeling it. I am positive that the Chucklefish team is feeling it for a lot of different reasons. But I did want to address that because I know it's a disappointing thing. People are excited for this game. It looks wonderful. We just want it in our hands. So there is that just like base level of disappointment that I think we can all just recognize is valid. However, I will always say there is a way to be disappointed while also acting like a human and not an evil witch, wizard, or eldritch. So there's that. There's also some commentary around the whole narrative of this game was announced in 2017, 2018. It's been in development for almost 8 years. What is it? That is also something I believe to be true. And I recently actually got corrected on this by a Chucklefish developer in the coolest way possible, by the way. And it also let me know that they watch our Witchbrook videos. So if you want to make content on Witchbrook, the developers do watch it. So that's kind of a cool thing to note. In response to my last really big deep dive video, they did politely correct me that the game did take a significant development pause. So when Spellbound was officially rebranded to Witchbrook, they realized a lot of hype around the game, which we're still talking about it in 2025, so that is correct. And the scope of what the game could be was going to be a lot bigger. So between 2017 and 2020, they took a break to solely focus on Wargroove and Wargroove Double Trouble. Then Witchbrook development picked back up around 2021. So technically, yes, it has been in development for that long period of time, but there was a significant break. And I think that clarity is important because they haven't been working full time on it for 8 years, and now we're getting another delay. I don't know if that's worth anything to you, but I did want to correct myself. And I think that does provide, again, a little bit more context to what is happening right now. But the last thing I definitely need to address before we hop deeper into this, and I provide you some context that you likely won't know, is that I am already welcoming and expecting the comments that say, "Spell Thief, I told you so." I have doubled down and tripled down and quadrupled down on the holiday/winter 2025 release. I am very aware of that. I was tunnel vision on it. Every comment that I replied to on my shorts or long form, I said, no, it's been announced. Like, let's just trust that till we hear otherwise. We now have heard otherwise, which is my actual point, but I am expecting a lot of I told you so. Do I deserve it? Yeah. All right, we are getting to the silver lining time. First silver lining, especially if you've watched this far into the video, you probably are already subscribed, and if you're not, definitely subscribe now so that you don't miss any more Witchbrook updates. And here's silver lining number one. We did get a ton of new information about the game in that dev blog and in some of the Discord answers we got from the developers, which I'm going to talk about shortly, but it deserves its own video, so there is another whole video worth of stuff to cover and talk about and dive into. So that's silver lining number one, that we at least got a little bit more content, screenshots, videos, an interactive map out of all this, so that's awesome. Silver lining number two, the announcement and dev blog was left a little vague, which is to be expected with an announcement like this, but here is what I found interesting. In response to that dev blog, there was obviously a lot of discussion happening. So in the Discord, some of the developers, including the CEO and the community manager for this game, all took turns answering some questions, which I think kind of gives a little bit more information than the dev blog did. So if you're watching this video and you only had read the dev blog, you're kind of going to get a little bit more context, which I hope balances out a little bit of the doom, gloom, and disappointment of the delay itself. So when the discussion started about the delay, somebody made a comment that, well, it is disappointing for the delay if it got released, but it lacked polish, depth, and details, people would also be upset with that. This might be two different groups of people, so I do want to recognize that, but fair commentary. Some people just want the game, and that's that. Some people do want a great product, and those people sometimes are the same people, which is kind of ironic, but sometimes it is a different set of consumers, so that's all well and fine. But in response to that, the community manager said, "This is 100% why we made the tough decision. We have a clear vision and focus for what we want in Witchbrook, and we're nearly there. It's coming together at a frightening pace now that all of the core systems are present. Can't wait to show you guys more." Later, around the same topic, one of the developers / CEO put a comment in that said, "So let me put it like this. Entire map / world is done, has been done for some time. Core gameplay is all done. We will get to gameplay in a second. Lots of the immersive content is both main and side content. We're writing several novels worth of text for character interactions and scenes, which is taking a lot of time. And there are some activities we didn't want to cut that we are working on. There are other bits and pieces that need polish or implementation, of course, but there's only so much I can say without getting into feature reveals. Again, we will get there in a second." I don't know if that makes you feel better, but for me personally, I think if there's a decision between releasing something, let's say December of 2025, but deleting a cool minigame or side quest or set of items or cosmetics that would really make the game feel more worthwhile, to me, that is worth it. So I'll be interested to see how that plays out. Obviously, I can't comment. I don't know what those things are, but I do see it from that perspective. I guess that's all I'll say, is that I do see why, if you're working on a bunch of cool stuff and it makes the game feel complete, why would you want to release it half-baked? Yes, we can go back to the why did we say holiday 2025 to begin with then, etc., but that also was addressed here as well. Here's where I appreciate some transparency from the developer team, because they were very honest when it came to this. A lot of opportunities in game development are tied to incentives such as a tentative release date to land things like, I'm just going to speculate, being featured on Nintendo Direct. So I'm kind of reading between the lines here, but what I think that means is to get such a good opportunity, yeah, you could jump on it. But then when the reality comes to like, is this game going to be what we were envisioning for, let's say again, December 2025, they might approach somebody like Nintendo and say, hey, what do you think about us pushing the game into 2026? Here's why, here's all the things we're working on. I don't know if that's how it works, but to me, that seems like the probable order of events where it's like, okay, yeah, we did want that to be the date in order to sign this deal, but we'd rather have a better selling game. So that's where I think a lot of this is probably stemming from. And the fact that they addressed this so head on, it makes me think that yes, you do have to kind of take those opportunities in game development, because game development is expensive. You want as many people to enjoy the game as possible when it comes out. And yeah, that's kind of that showbiz, I guess. While that does provide a lot of context to why the game is delayed, there is still that one lingering, unanswered thing of when in 2026. Knowing this situation and what situations have occurred in the past with the release of this game, it definitely makes sense why they are afraid to attach a quarter to it in 2026, because are we just setting up the exact same pattern of here's a 3-month window you can expect it, now it's shifted. So I think all in all, it is a great move, because I think it gives a lot of flexibility to make sure that the reason that they are delaying this and putting some more time and love and care into it is worth it in the end. Where that leaves us kind of wondering, as people eagerly anticipating the game, is when is it going to come out in 2026? And that I don't know. I could speculate on it personally, but because I know there's some more development blogs coming and another Witchbrook Oracle, I think I'm going to wait on that. I have some thoughts, but I think we'll wait on it for now. But if you have any thoughts, I'm sure you're all going to troll the comments saying, oh, probably December 2026, if that. Sure, fine. But if you have any actual guesses, what do you think? I'm curious to hear. Other than that, I do know that there is a lot more content coming. And I did mention earlier in the video, they addressed gameplay and features. And I did want to touch on that as kind of the last thing, because that's something I've seen a lot in the comments of my videos is, I'm really excited for this based on the art style, ... However, it's hard to get fully on board because I don't know anything about the gameplay, which has also contributed to the discourse of, what is this game even going to be? And is this just a bunch of artwork? Logically, of course, no, it's not. It's a game that's in development, but definitely the developers have recognized that that is part of the conversation. We will start to get some gameplay features and gameplay aspects revealed, but there is a delicate balance, because if you give away everything, the game's not going to feel as immersive and special when it releases. For me personally, I actually prefer to experience a game full out and all the little cool mechanics and gameplay loops I love discovering in real time. Having said that, I think even the base gameplay loops that maybe are not going to be groundbreaking, but will provide people with a vision of what this game is going to be and associate it with this art style is going to be valuable, because I think that allows people to really commit to, this is going to be a game for me. You could love the art and animation all you want, but if the core gameplay doesn't speak to you, you're not going to spend that many hours on it. That's a fact. As always, this video got way longer than I thought it would. I was trying to keep it to 6 minutes, but here we are, very laughable. Everything else that we learned, I am going to put into another video, so you'll have to stay tuned for that one, including something I also get a lot of comments on is, what about blank or blank platform? We did get an interesting comment about that.